This is How to Korea.
Okay, welcome to another episode of a how-to video on How to Korea. Today we're going to go over Kakao Taxi. Okay, so what you're going to do is go into your Play Store and you're going to search for Kakao T, or Kakao Taxi works too. Okay, now if you don't know what Kakao is, you might want to check out our previous video where we show you how to set up your Kakao account. It's a very short video and it should be relatively straightforward and simple. So check that out. Install Kakaotalk on your phone because you're going to need that in order to use this app. Okay, so you're going to see the second one, Kakao T, taxi driver and bike. Install. All right. And we're back. All right, so if you can see the home screen or wherever your apps are located, there's a new app called Kakao T. Press that app. Okay, it's going to need a few permissions, more than Kakaotalk, right? It's going to need your location because it needs to know your pickup point and destination. It'll need your phone number because your taxi driver or whichever service you provide is going to try to call you. It'll need storage space because it saves information about your requests. It needs your phone number, obviously, to connect with the service provider. Okay, so the optional choice is a mic, and it'll be if you want to use voice recognition for the mic. And the camera, for now, it says it's optional, but I believe when you try to rent a bike, you're going to need to scan a QR code on the bike, and that's what they'll use the camera for. Okay? So you're going to press OK. You're going to allow it to access device location. I always click while using the app so that it doesn't run in the background. Allow it to manage phone calls, media, and hello from Kakao T. Now, if you have created your Kakao account from the previous video, you just press this button, log into Kakao account, accept all, scroll down, and again, I like to get rid of the optional just because it saves me some spam and etc. But read through it, and if there's something that you like, go ahead and leave that in there. Okay? Accept and continue. Now, this is very common in most, if not all, Korean apps. It's going to ask you to verify your phone number. So you're going to press send. We actually had to get a new phone number just for us because we needed a phone without any record of having registered for these accounts. So just for these videos, just for you guys, we got a brand new phone number. All right. So it'll automatically input the verification code when it comes. And you're going to press OK, and then you're going to enter additional information. Okay, so we're not going to enter any credit card information currently because we don't have a How to Korea credit card yet. Once we get around 1 million viewers, we'll have our own credit card. But until then, we're not going to enter this information, so we're going to skip later. But you can go ahead and enter your credit card number there, and it'll automatically charge a card there. Now, your vehicle number, this is if you have a car. Right? And the reason that you want to register your vehicle number here is because it's for the designated driver and for the parking. Okay? So it'll come in useful, but again, we don't have a How to Korea vehicle yet. We'll get a credit card when we're at 1 million subscribers, and when we're at 2 million, we'll get our own vehicle. All right? So later for now. Okay. I'm going to show you a little bit at the home screen. Okay? So this is just a little guide. Okay, so if you look in the main home screen, you'll see taxi, book taxi, bike, parking, driver, quick rent car, flight, blah, 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 blah. For the most part, you're going to be looking at the top row, right? If you're going to use it for transportation purposes, you're going to look at the top row. So if you press taxi, you're going to have to, this is your first time using this app, so you're going to have to consent to a bunch of these optional and required. Again, I uncheck all the optional. That's just how I do it. Consent. Okay, just some advertising. Press X. Now, what it'll do is, Ian's going to have to block out this location or you're going to know where he lives. I'm sure he'll block that out. What you're going to do is it'll automatically pick up the location because you've allowed this app to do so. So you just have to type in, where are you going, right? So for the destination, the example I always like to use is the department store in Ulsan. So we'll type in Hyundai department store. Okay? Now you notice that if I type it in English, this works, right? Kakao is a bit more friendly with English names of stores as opposed to Naver. So try it out. But if not, you can always look at our how-to Naver guide, and that guide will show you how to find an address in Korean and copy and paste it. Okay? So make sure you check out that guide if you're having trouble figuring out how to get to your destination. So you're going to press 2, and it'll automatically move the map to designate your pickup location. Now, it'll automatically pick up where you are. But for the most part, sometimes you might have to cross the street, or sometimes you might want to get on the cab somewhere a bit down the road, or you might want to get on the corner so that you save a little bit of toll so that he doesn't have to loop around. It depends on how well adjusted you are with the roads, how much you know the roads, and etc. Right? Okay, so for the sake of this video, we're gonna set the pickup location to the front of the house. Press OK. Okay, now you're gonna see two options: blue and general request. Okay, so blue is basically a taxi that is instantly assigned, and general request is you're gonna have to wait a little bit. Now, what that means is, what taxi drivers usually do is, if you do a general request during peak time when a lot of people are trying to get in cabs, they're not going to accept your call. So what they're going to try to do is make sure you press the blue button, and when you press blue, the fare is higher, as you can see here. Right now you only see a difference of 600 won, but during peak times you'll see differences up to 5,000, 10,000 won, right? So depending on how fast you want to get to where you want to go, you're going to want to make the selection. Now, that being said, during peak times when people are getting drunk and people are trying to go home, you're going to want to use the blue. But something about blue is, if you press blue right now and then you decide to cancel your call and go back to blue later, that rate is going to go up. Okay? So you got to make sure that if you decide to do blue, look at the difference in rate. It's only 600 won. So if I want to get a taxi right away, I would press the blue, and the 600 is worth it. So the options that you see are blue and general request, as mentioned previously. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you an example of general request. You're going to press general request, and before you request it, you see an option that says add auto payment. Now, if you have a credit card, but it's not a Korean credit card, it's going to be very difficult for you to add this card onto this screen. The only card that you'll really have ease of access to is if you've made a checking account, you'll have a debit card, and you can add your debit card to this account, and it should automatically charge your card once you're done with the fare. But if not, there's an option here that says pay to the driver. And when you pay to the driver takes your card and he puts it into this machine that charges your card. And for the most part, depending on your card, you're going to have to try to figure this out by trying to use it in different locations. But your card should work if it has worked in other locations in Korea. Okay? So you're going to click pay to the driver. You're going to leave it at this option. You're not going to get points right now because you don't have any points. There's no coupons either. And then you press apply. Once you press apply, it'll call the taxi driver. So there. Oh, no, sorry. You're going to press that option, pay to the driver, apply, and then now once you selected the option to pay to the driver, press request, and now you can see that it's trying to find a driver that is very close to you. Okay, now we don't need this driver right now. It's for the sake of the video. So not for the sake of the video, but if you ever need to cancel your cab, you press the cancel button up there and you press cancel request. Okay, if you cancel right 5 minutes after dispatch, you can have request for 5 minutes. Okay, cancel request. Okay, and now you're back to the screen where it picks up your location and you're going to try to pick another location. All right, so that's the taxi. When you go to book taxi, this is like a reservation. So the first one says 공항 갈 때, when you're trying to go to the airport. The second one is when you're trying to go for a round of golf. The third one, 의전이 필요할 때. This is if you want to get a bigger cab for your guests. Okay? So it's like a pickup service for your guests. And then the next one is wide and comfortable transportation, and etc. So we don't really use this option, but if you feel like you ever need to reserve a cab, press this option over here. You're going to select the pickup point. So let's do Hyundai Department Store and let's do Lotte Department Store. Just to show you how this works. Okay. Okay, now you can see here it says this booking service is available only in some areas. Click OK to proceed to home. I've never personally used this option, so I didn't even know, but it seems like it doesn't work in Ulsan. If you live in Seoul or Busan though, I'm sure it'll work, but it seems to not work in Ulsan. So depending on where you live, this may or may not work, but you'll rarely use this option. Okay. The next one I'm going to go to is bike. So again, you're going to check all your consent. Get rid of all the optional. Press consent. Okay, now if you go to bike, again, I haven't actually used this one either, but it's fairly, it's in English, so it's fairly self-explanatory. But read through the guide, right? So there are bikes and scooters located in your neighborhood, hopefully, right? It depends on the company and it depends on your location, but Kakao should be pretty good about it. There should be bikes and scooters located, and what you're going to do is it'll pick up the location for you, tell you how close it is. Before departure, check your destination where you can end the service. Okay, so what you want to make sure is if you see this grayed out area after you rent your bike and you want to return it, if you leave it there, they'll charge you extra money because it's not a location that they support. Okay, all right, and then authenticate. This is what I was telling you before. They needed access to your camera because you need to scan the QR code that is located physically on the bike in order to start this service. Okay, sometimes the lock does not open after verification because the lock is touching the spokes. Please try again by moving the wheel back and forth slightly. And when you use it, check the condition of the brake, seat, and chain. So go a little bit, press the brake, make sure your seat is in a comfortable position, and the chain is working properly. Okay? For the e-bike, I believe that it is a bicycle that is supported by battery. So it should make your ride a little bit easier. You're not really trying to pedal as hard. It should support you so that you're riding a bit easier and you're not sweating by the time you arrive at your destination, depending on the weather, of course. E-scooter, on the right handle, there's this little button that you push down. And when you push down on that button, it'll accelerate. Okay? When you start the scooter, what you want to do is put one foot on the scooter, put the other foot on the ground, and push off like you would do with a normal scooter. But once you get that momentum going on the scooter and you press the button down on the right handle, it'll start the engine and it'll keep it going on itself. Okay? When you're done, on your phone, you're going to press something called 이용 종료, which means end the use or end ride. And it finishes your ride, and then it'll calculate the total distance you traveled or the total time you've used it and charge you based on that. When you finish, you have to make sure you lock your e-bike, and that way it'll make the phone will pick it up. The app will pick it up to make sure you've locked it to end your ride. Same thing for the scooter. You press end ride to finish your ride, and then you have to take a photo of where you parked it so the next person can find it. Okay? So we can't really show you an example here. This just tells you instructions because in order to do so, we need to find a physical scooter or a bicycle in order to scan the QR code. Okay? So click on the device pin to see the service area and fee. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. For the e-scooter, you need to have a driver's license. And the reason for that, I believe, is because you have all these young kids riding on these scooters and getting into all sorts of accidents because they don't know how cars work and they don't know the laws of the road. So they'll just start scooting here and there and getting into accidents. And a lot of kids actually got hurt pretty badly, which is why I think they added this. Okay? Okay, Ian actually has told me that he has a driver's license we can use. So we're going to go ahead and register a driver's license so that we can show you how to use the kickboard. Agree, consent, and while using the app. And now you're going to get this little camera here. What you're going to do is put your ID within the white box. And it should pick it up automatically, hopefully. Please take a photo with a dark background. Oh, there you go. Okay. Now, the nice thing about this is once you take this photo, it should put all this information in for you automatically. So the only thing you really have to check is make sure the license number matches. Make sure the name matches exactly as you see with no spaces. And then make sure your date of birth matches, which is the first 6 numbers of your alien registration number. Okay? You're going to register. All right. And now we're all set. So we have a driver's license saved. And if you look at this map, we did all that work and you can see that there aren't any in this neighborhood. So if you zoom out, what you can see is in this neighborhood, there aren't any. But when you go to another area, you can try to figure out where the closest area you can find one is. But for all intents and purposes, we're not going to be able to ride or utilize the bike in this neighborhood. All right. And you're going to find that depending on where you live, you might run into this issue, right? There are other apps for scooters, but it depends on it. What you'll notice is while you're walking around, you might see an electric scooter parked on the street, in which case you can be sure that you can find that scooter in your neighborhood. And then all you have to do is search for that app, download it, and you should be able to use that scooter. All right. So that's the explanation for the bike. The parking, I've never used the app, but okay, if you press parking, it'll show you the parking lots around you and the rates. But in terms of trying to pay for it using this app, I've never done it. And the reason is there's always a way to pay at the parking lot. So I'm sure there's some easier way to pay for it if you try to use this app, but at the same time, it's fairly easy for you to pay just at the parking lot too. So we're going to skip this feature for now. The last one we're going to cover today is driver. Okay, now the thing about South Korea is if you get caught drinking and driving, the fine is $10,000, or no, the first fine is $5,000, and your license will get suspended for 3 months. The second fine, I believe, is 1 year suspension and $10,000. And then after the third strike, you get your license revoked. Okay? So if you're ever drinking and you feel like, oh, I've only had 1 or 2 beers, if you're unlucky, you're going to get caught, right? Because they have testing stations randomly across the roads where they have breathalyzers and you need to breathe into the breathalyzer. And if you test above, I don't know the exact level. I believe it's 0. You know what? I have no idea. I don't want to say anything that's not factual. But there is a certain alcohol level that if you pass, they'll immediately take you out of your car, book you, and give you a fine, etc., etc. So if you've drank even a little bit, even 1 beer, I would utilize this service. Okay? When you use this service, you're going to set your pickup location, set as the start point, and then enter where you want to go. So let's say Hyundai Department Store, like we always do. Hyundai Department Store. Okay. Search. Selected as 2. Now it's going to tell you quick matching and nice fare. Nice fare is it's going to try to match you at this fare. Quick matching, you pay a little bit extra. It's kind of like the blue feature for the taxi, right? So you want to pay a little bit extra, it'll match you faster. Now it depends on, again, the time that you're trying to get the service. Depending on if it's peak time, you're going to want to do quick matching, but it is a little bit of a difference. But again, it'll kind of guarantee that you get it, right? In terms of payment method, you're going to have to select, again, if you have a checking card, you can add your checking card here, and it'll automatically charge your checking card. If not, pay in cash. Now, you can't pay this driver with a credit card. So you have 2 options. If you don't have a debit card, you can pay them in cash after he has safely delivered your car to your location, or you can send him money via bank transfer. It's very common for Koreans to share their bank information with you, or at least their account number with you in Korea, because that's how they send money back and forth. There aren't any, depending on the bank that you have, there aren't fees. Some banks might have fees, but most don't. So it's pretty easy to send money using your bank app, or Kakaotalk also has a feature where you can send money too. And that might be a whole separate video that we'll go over. Okay? So you're going to press nice fare because right now we don't really need, we're not in a rush. Okay? When you request a driver, we can't show you the rest of this video though because we don't have a car that's registered. Unless you want to register your car. Yeah.
I don't even know my plate number.
Yeah, we're going to have to, mine's already registered so we can't use it. Yeah, so I think this is the extent of the video. The system is pretty similar to Kakao Taxi in a sense where when you request a driver, what'll happen is it'll match you with a driver who accepts your request. And once you're matched, the driver will call you and they'll ask you for your physical location. So if you're not Korean, obviously, what you're going to say is, sorry, no Korean. And some people might actually cancel your request. It depends on who the driver is, but they might cancel your request. The only other thing so it picks up your location on the map, but for some reason, every time I book a driver, the driver will always call me and ask me exactly where I am. And then I try to give them storefronts that I see around me. So if the driver calls you, what you're going to do is, see you, give them landmarks around you, right? So if you look in this map, elementary school, right? The name's going to be blocked out, so you're going to see elementary school. But, elementary school or high school or Parkville or Juwon Heightsville, Washington, right? So once you give them those locations, they'll have a general idea. And then what you usually want to do is turn on the hazards on your car, because that way the driver will see the blinking lights and it's easier for him or her to identify your car. Okay? I believe that is the extent of our Kakao T how-to guide. I know it's a lot of information, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out via Instagram, DM us, or send us an email at howtokorea1@gmail.com. Okay? Thanks for listening. All right, so if you like this video, please click subscribe in the middle over here and check out our links below under the video.
And also make sure to click on the notification icon so that you can stay up to date with our future episodes. And be sure to leave some comments below and let us know what you would like us to discuss in future episodes.